Hey, everybody, welcome back to Mike and the Doc Answer the Internet. I'm Mike.
And I'm the doc. And today, Trevor's got a bunch of questions made to stump us. And if you have any questions, please leave them down in the comments section for a chance to be featured in our next episode. Also, subscribe for new content daily.
All right, Doc, you're up first.
Okay.
Why is medical school so damn expensive? And do you think more people would become doctors without the fear of such a large financial burden?
I think that's a great question. I wish that med school and all post-secondary education was cheaper in the U.S. I'm from Canada, where they subsidize it a little bit. But you're right. I have friends that are 10 years out of school and they still are paying off their student loans. Great question. And if that made it such that there could be more physicians, then that would be great for the U.S. as a whole because we need more docs.
And isn't there like a beautiful program here in the state of Nevada?
Yeah, so UNR has a 6-year program, and if you pay in-state fees, it's not cheap by any means, but it's definitely, cheaper than going to Harvard. Like the Harvard tuition is sometimes it's more than what people make in a year. It's a really deep discussion, like the cost of education in the U.S.
So, Mike, besides your business, what is your most profitable secondary stream of income and how'd you get into it?
Good question. I'll have to think about my portfolio here. And, well, I've done pretty well in everything that I've got involved in. I usually do a lot of research, but to directly answer your question, I've had a decent payoff with stocks. I've had a decent payoff with a rental property, and on top of that, just using the savings account, like we were talking about, that's the most passive. You don't have to think about it. Everything else has a little bit of brain power behind it, but again, with the savings account, you probably need $1 million in cash to really beat the bank, and none of us here have that. So,
what is the healthiest diet in your professional opinion, Doc?
In my opinion, what works for me the best is low carb, high protein. Intermittent fasting works for me great, but that's just me. It might be different for others. I think whatever diet you go on, whatever it may be, low carb, vegan, what have you, you do the diet, you check a DEXA scan, see if you have less than a pound of visceral fat, and if you do, that's the right diet for you.
If you lost everything and had to start over with just $10,000, what would you do, Mike?
well, I hope I don't get to that. But I'm a salesman by trade. That's really the skills I was given. So I would find something I'm passionate about, get excited, and start selling. Acquiring the product, or if it's a service, and then going and starting to knock on doors, just the way I began the business I run now. Like, what is that movie with Will Smith, The Pursuit of Happiness?
Yeah.
He buys a bunch of scanners, right?
Yeah.
Medical scanners. I forget what they do. I'm likely going to stay in medicine because medicine is always going to be there. You're always going to have sick people, and that's what I know. So I think that's what I would do.
What is the scariest condition that somebody can develop, in your opinion?
I think the scariest medical condition is probably diabetes. And this is why. It doesn't seem crazy. It's just elevated blood sugar. And then you got to take, if you're unlucky, you got to take some insulin. But I think what's scary about it is what can happen uncontrolled over years. So that's what makes it scary about me. And you don't feel it. You don't feel that your blood sugar is high.
Wow.
In fact, you won't feel it. Let me talk about two things. So number one, you won't feel it when you step on a nail, because the high blood sugar in that state, it kills your nerves. So you won't feel like a nail. That's called neuropathy. You can also get neuropathy of your heart, or like the nerves around your heart, such that you go to the ER, you have no idea why you're going to the ER, or you have what's called a silent MI, or a silent heart attack. And those are very common with diabetes. Very scary. It's the fact that you can't feel it that makes it scary.
And you can lose your limbs and your sight.
Yeah,
Isn't that
you
correct?
can get cataracts. Crazy story. I had this one patient who was very, it was an addiction to sugar. And he said to me, because I said, well, you need to do this, you need to do this with your insulin, blah, blah, blah. He pointed at me and said, listen, you are not going to tell me that I need to take insulin. Okay. And what's funny is while he's pointing at me, this finger is halfway gone, and then these fingers are totally gone from the neuropathy. And he's like, he had like his one of his legs were amputated. So here's a great example of somebody's just dug in and be like, no, I'm gonna have my sugar, I'm gonna have my Coke or whatever, and if I have to get amputations, so be it.
That is the worst story I've heard.
Yeah,
in regards to diabetes.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it happens. It happens a lot.
Everybody tries to cheat the game or find a way to become an overnight success. Are there any shortcuts to success when growing a business, or is it all about the grind?
Well, first I want to say luck is in the casino. So there is no luck or getting rich quick in the business world, unless maybe some sort of trade, right? There's been some trades where they win overnight. I think they've
Like a stock trade?
like a stock trade, but I think those came out insider trading or big groups. So anyhow, business is not a success overnight, and as time goes on too, and you expand, we're experiencing that now. It's kind of even more of a long play because one, you've lost that getting into Disneyland feeling with your first business. Mm-hmm. You're so excited, and now it's the long game, and you have to rely on others to move forward. So none of it is overnight.
Is testosterone therapy safe for men over 40, or is it just a hype?
Oh, great question. Testosterone? There's actually a lot of great stuff actually on the internet about testosterone. Testosterone is one of those things, like if you supplement it like they want you to supplement it, say, based on the media, you might do too much. So is testosterone a good thing? If your testosterone is low and you have symptoms, you should replace it. If your testosterone is low and you don't have symptoms, you need to talk to your doctor, okay? Because there's a lot of nuance there. And if you supplement too much, you can get things like prostate cancer. You can thicken your blood. It's a big deal. Like once you get committed to it, you have to be. Sorry. If you use testosterone, so now your testicles don't have to make testosterone. If you're supplementing it, and your body is used to that, it may never produce again, which means that you're stuck on that needle forever. So you have to be really be ready for that commitment. And if you're just doing it because you think you're going to get jacked, that's not. That I wouldn't recommend that. And there are some side effects.
What do you think most entrepreneurs misunderstand about profitability in a business?
Well, what I'm learning and what I would advise, this is a great question. Don't care about profitability. That's what I would advise that young entrepreneur. Forget about the money. Hopefully you have enough money to pay the bills because you gotta keep the bills paid. Or I guess if you're borrowing money from somebody, hopefully they can continue to pay your bills. Mm-hmm. But other than that, you got to get creative and love what you do. And I love building things, so that's kind of my passion, although it's painful at times, is building new teams, building new businesses that have value in them to help people. But yeah, to that brand new entrepreneur, don't think about getting rich quick. Forget about the money and go to work every day and work hard, and the money will come.
Yeah, I really like that too. Like if you're not passionate about it, there's going to be crappy days. right? And if you are just getting into it for the money, then what will happen is it'll be a crappy day and you're like, you have no passion about it, and then you're just going to leave it. You need that passion to get you through the crappy days, which there will be, unless you're like obscenely lucky.
Are weight loss drugs like Ozempic a long-term solution or just a temporary fix?
Great question. There's whenever I hear about a drug and weight loss, I'm just like, oh, what's this about? I think with Ozempic, there was some worry about gastric paralysis. So like you feel full when you take it because it slows down your gastric emptying. Gastric emptying is when you take something, it goes into your stomach, and then it slows your gastric emptying. So you feel full because your stomach feels full. But there's new medications out there like tirzepatide, where the side effect profile is a lot better. I actually think that those drugs are a really good adjunct for weight loss. I think that there's a lot of potential there. The prices are ridiculous, but I think there's potential there. But what I will say is I've talked to some guys that, they dispense Ozempic or tirzepatide or what have you. Mounjaro is another one. And what you'll find is it still all originates in your brain. So they'll be taking like some obscene dose of Ozempic. They're like, Doc, I'm not losing any weight. And it's like, yeah, because you're still having cheesies at night.
Right.
Yeah, like you got to stop that. And what's funny is that if you feel full from, let's just say you take Ozempic and you feel full after having one or two cheesies, in your brain, you're like, yeah, but I don't usually have one or two. I usually have like a bag. So they're actually going through that feeling like satiated. And then when they come off of it, now it's going to even be worse.
But it sounds like you're saying that like people always look for that quick fix, but it sounds like Ozempic needs to be paired with a healthy lifestyle, right?
Yes, that's totally true. So you can use Ozempic to kind of get you where you need to be. And then you just have to learn, but it still comes down to your brain and your habits. Yeah, can't get away from like you can't get away from hard work. There's no there's no lottery. There's no lottery with weight loss. Ozempic is not a lottery. It's not the lottery ticket that people think that it is.
So you're a pretty avid collector of art. What is your most prized piece and why?
I forgot about the art. That's another, I guess, passive income. Sits on your walls and hopefully it grows.
Yeah.
I like the artist Alec Monopoly. He's very fun. I think that's what got me into art. First, Doc was actually part of getting me into art. I had a fascination with the graffiti artists. I love the artist Banksy.
Oh yeah.
Nobody knows who he is still. So one of the first pieces I think was an Alec Monopoly, and he started out the same way. I think he had a mask. Nobody knew who he was, and just does some really fun things. Obviously with Monopoly pieces, and does a wide variety. But yeah, I would say those graffiti artists. Another one is Jispar, but
What about Cobra?
Cobra, we haven't got to dabble in Cobra, but I love Cobra, especially the Mother Teresa.
Oh yeah,
and the Gandhi piece.
Oh man,
so that was one of our first. We wanted to get a Cobra, and we work with the fine people of Eden Gallery. It's at the Wynn and Encore. They have some fantastic pieces, these graffiti art, and we talked about Cobra, but then they. I think it was for the best. They introduced me to all the artists. There's another one, Coleman Shemi. It's just lots of colors. Anyone that comes to my office would see it, but he's no longer making. He's no longer painting. I think he's ill. So when the artist gets ill, I think it helps the value of the painting. Unfortunately.
Yeah.
Same with that Basquiat. He's passed away. But I think one of his arts sold for over 100 million.
Wow.
Yeah, and I forget when he died, but it was 28 years old. And a lot of people now, you see the crown, the three-pronged crown. It's in a lot of these graffiti art pieces. So today, John Michael Basquiat, you still see a lot of his resonance in the graffiti art of today.
Cool.
But I love art. Yeah, I've just fallen in love with art, and my wife doesn't want me to buy any more.
Hey guys, thanks so much for joining us on this podcast. We love that you're here. And don't forget to leave your questions in the comments section for a chance to be featured in our next episode.
Thank you to everybody out there for joining us. And also, don't forget to subscribe for new daily content.